Thank you for joining us again on another episode of Press Talk. Press Talk is where we discuss some of the topical issues, the trending issues that have been dominating the political scene in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. It is called Press Talk because I don't do this alone. I bring colleagues from other media houses to join me. And today, joining me on the show for the first time, a debutant is Aisha Saliu from the Nigerian News. Welcome.
Thanks for having me on the program.
And by my right is Honorable Dan Atai. You're welcome.
Thank you.
An investigative journalist. So
you.
we'll kick off, we'll go straight to today's line of business. I'll be looking at the final address of the Atiku and PDP at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, where they presented a 43-page final address, principally challenging the qualification of the president to contest the 2019 election. Now, in this 43-page, they went on to summarize how they have been able to demystify some of the witnesses that the president brought to testify in his favor at the tribunal. Now, they are alleging and trying to prove that the president does not have a Forex certificate or its equivalent in any nature. They are also trying to prove that the Forex attestation that was certificate that was given to the president is not authentic, and the one that was gotten on his behalf by the chief of staff Abba Kyari from the Cambridge is also not authentic. Now, the tribunal is moving into its twilight, where it will come to a decision on the whole issue that have been brought before it. And when you look at it, Ms. Aisha, does it seem, because when you look at this 43-page, the Atiku and PDP, they are focused principally on the fact that the president is not constitutionally qualified to contest the election. So is it that they look that they feel they can't contest the actual outcome of the election, so they are going for the qualification of the president?
Okay, I'm going to come from this angle.
Okay.
Okay, right now Atiku belongs to the opposition.
Yes.
And he took this whole case to the election tribunal because he feels he has been cheated, or I don't know what he feels. Now, before now, he was in the same camp with President Muhammadu Buhari. How come all of these issues didn't come up then when they were together? Why is it now? Because, okay, they're no longer in the same camp now, so he has to go and find dirts. And they are all alleged, because if he's saying the certificate is not authentic, and why issued this certificate? Cambridge brought another one, and I think the Nigerian military or army, right, presented another. So
no, the Nigerian army, I can't remember the Nigerian army bringing any certificates.
Okay, Cambridge brought one, yes, and WAEC produced
and
one.
he also obtained a statement of result from his secondary school.
Yes, that's what I wanted to say earlier. So I don't understand. Is it that all of these, they didn't, when they were in the same camp, Atiku didn't notice all of this? He didn't know that, okay, the constitution, there was an error, or there was a part of it that wasn't right when they were in the same. But now that they contested against each other, and then he lost, according to INEC chairman.
It could just be a case of what shall I call it? Interests have changed, and you know, when you are going against an enemy, you look for his weak sides, okay, the weak point, and perhaps this is the weakness that he has found in the side of this president, and then he's going for it to help advance his case.
I just feel he's searching for dirts where they aren't.
No dirt.
Yes.
So you believe that the president has a certificate, is duly qualified to contest the election?
Yes, because this is not the first time he's contesting the election. He has been doing it like back to back, and he eventually won in 2015.
So the thing here is now, some of these people are not, because if you agree with me, if he had lost the election, nobody will bring it up. So maybe this is something that maybe they knew from time, but because he had been losing before then,
that's
they
my
just
point
didn't.
exactly. That's my point exactly. Because this man has been contesting elections for years upon years, and then how come nobody was saying, even the INEC, the body in charge of the whole electoral processes, they were not pointing this out. They were not like, okay, you brought this particular form and then you didn't attach a certificate which qualifies you to contest for this position. How come nobody was noticing all of this all the while? Till now, when he's coming for a second term, that's when all of these issues are coming.
I think his case of a certificate started in 2014 when it was becoming clear to the incumbent at the time that he might lose the election to the president. So if I'll come to Mr. Daniel, now, the INEC from CF001 requires you to list your academic qualification, and you also have to attach copies. In the affidavit that this president deposed in his name, listed to have obtained a primary school, secondary school, and military cadet certificates, but none of these were attached. If he had a certificate, why has it been so difficult to provide one that's attached to his forms?
Well, the issue of this presidential electoral tribunal is a kind of issue of technicality.
Okay.
And yes, Atiku have first of all brought a case that he won the election in the first instance, and it was, adjudged from the tribunal that he didn't win. That is number one. The number of votes, actual votes that were collected. And
it was adjudged that he didn't win.
Of course.
Has this enjoyment be passed?
What I mean is that the first case he brought before the tribunal is that he won the election.
Okay.
By a margin of certain, I think he quoted about how many millions. And that has been justified that no. And then he went to the issue of INEC server. You understand? And the INEC have come out again to say no, we didn't use server.
And we don't have any.
And we don't have any. That is number two. Then thirdly now, he's bringing the issue of WAEC and its equivalent. It is left for the court, the judiciary, to interpret what is equivalent WAEC and its equivalent as of when President Buhari was enlisted into the army in 1961. Because from my little knowledge, I do know that in 1961 there was nothing like Defense Academy. Though we have the Royal Military Academy, were subjected to the United Kingdom, our colonial master, that is British. And people that were absorbed into the army then were absorbed directly, probably from their physical look. And by the time you pass your grade 6, primary 6, how do they call it then? Is it grade, yes, primary 6, you finish your primary school 6 and you are able-bodied, they enlist you into the army. And then it is from 1963 that this same academy, this Royal Military Academy of the colonial masters in Nigeria, became the Nigerian Defense Academy. And all that were in the school then were absorbed into the Defense Academy. So that, to me, if the judiciary want to interpret the WAEC saga, whether it has WAEC certificate or not, equivalent that the judiciary may want to interpret is that he is eligible. That is to what I am presuming will happen.
Okay.
If at all the WAEC technicality or certificate appenditure or becomes issue. Because if he was eligible and enlisted into the Defense Academy by any means possible and later became a president of this country, we are talking about a sovereignty, a country, a nation, so that nobody anyhow can just become a president without some background qualification. So if the judiciary want to do the country, the nation, any good, because we are not in banana country, they must pass through the background that how was this man able to be enlisted into the army in the first place, and then became a general, and then became a commander-in-chief. No, wait, I'm coming to that. So the issue, or in the tribunal rather, to me is just technicalities of winning, and this is the technicality we talked about in the judiciary that sometimes does not help the common man on the street. What is all this? Election have been conducted. This man is not coming for the first first time. INEC have forms already, submitted to them. Has INEC come to deny that they do not understand the equivalent or WAEC or whatever paper that was submitted?
He attached to the
you understand? So, if Atiku have any good evidence to terminate the presidential election of Mr. President from this angle.
Actually coming in to say the INEC is supposed, you have from CS01 that you say people should attest to and attach their certificate, but the president did one and did not attach any certificate to it.
That the president did
not
what?
attach any certificate. The president listed to have 3 certificates: primary school, secondary school, and then this military cadet certificate. But he attached none, and it was required on that form that he should attach.
No, there is no way Mr. President will not attach.
So if he does not attach it, how do we then know that he has something that's equivalent to it?
It is not possible for Mr. President, except if the INEC have to be made to refer to previous attachment that Mr. President was using to contesting elections, because this is not his first time of contesting election, and I think he had in the time past contested election for like 4 times. So if we know this man and the submissions about his certificate to contest any electoral position in the presidential election, that should justify that he's qualified. He's qualified. It's not coming from the moon. Neither was he coming from, like they said, coming from Jibril from Sudan. This is Muhammad Buhari that we know.
So in all of this, you believe the president has a certificate?
Even if he does not have, I believe that he's qualified. He's eligible. He's eligible. And because one, he has been a commander-in-chief. That is number one.
So you are saying that the courts will have to
interpret
yes. What is equivalent is.
Yes, the court have to interpret more, assuming he does not have.
The counsels to the petitioners have cited a previous case, and they made it clear that the court had already interpreted that the Constitution in Section 31A, subsection 1, identified what these equivalents are. In the terms of secondary school certificates, if you don't have that, maybe like NECO GC follows to it. Then you have grade 2 teachers. Then you have city and gates something certificate. Yes, city and gates certificate.
Don't forget that we are talking about amendment in the 1999 Constitution. Okay. 1979 Constitution as amended in 1999. Now, have you ever thought of the fact that prior to 1999, this man was president, head of state, and all the head of states that passed in this country that served.
But we know that being head of state does not require any particular qualification.
No.
If you are able to carry out a successful coup,
it requires even before you are enlisted into the army. There are certain qualifications that are equivalent to the WAEC certificate.
Of the witnesses,
WAEC is not a yardstick.
One of the witnesses testifying on the behalf of the president, who was supposed to be a mate of the president when they joined the army. Okay. He said there was no such thing as the fact that they submitted their certificate before they were being commissioned into the army and all of that. So how does that explain the president saying that his certificate is with the military board?
Mr. Dan, you'd have to.
No. Like I did mention something. I was looking for. There is a place where Mr. Festus Keyamo, under one of his Twitter's handle, I'm trying to get out and then quote the section of the
right, so
Constitution. That,
yes, maybe you will need time to look at that. So
yes,
while you are checking that, we'll go on a quick break and we'll back. I'm sure by then you have that. Let's go on the break.
It's okay.
Thank you for staying with us. This is still Press Talk, and we've still been on discussion. We have been discussing the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, the final address of the PDP and the article, a 43-page. It was lengthy. It's in fact it's on the net for everybody to read. I don't think most of these things that we are discussing and debating, we could look at it, maybe offset, look at the documents in full. But we'll move on to the next topic, which is like before the Salah, on the twilight of the Listen Salah celebration, the president said he has given a directive to the CBN to not give a single forex to anybody who is trying to import food into the country, because Nigeria has attained food sufficiency. That we have many factories producing rice locally now. We have enough food in the country. Do we really have? Are we really food sufficient?
Okay, that's second point. Now I'm going to come from this angle. I think that policy is for the better good of the populace, if you ask me.
Yes.
Because this whole forex thing, food importation, I feel we should produce what we consume and consume what we produce. So, because there are lots of food importation now, you see people importing rice, importing tomato paste, frozen food, dairy products, and all of that. When we have what happened to our agricultural sector? I mean, we should encourage our own. We should help our economy. We don't have to keep importing food. And I like the fact that he has brought out that policy that there is a ban on forex. So as much as it's going to affect a lot of business people, especially those that do their business on importation of food, as much as it's going to affect them, like I said earlier, this policy may not really sit well right now, but it's for the better good in the long run.
So when we look at this, have we really attained that food sufficiency?
I think our agricultural sector is booming fast.
Is booming?
If you ask me, because now we produce our own rice now,
okay,
which is better than the imported
rice.
Because all of this food produce that are being imported, there are lots of chemicals. They call them preservatives. But then now we keep asking what's causing cancer, what's causing a lot of diseases now. So we don't really know their causes. But some of these diseases are being triggered by some chemicals in the food we eat. So why don't we produce our own local food, consume our local food? Just jettison
so you
foreign
believe
foods.
that the implication of this forex ban on food importation is a good one? They are all good.
Well, like I said, maybe for now it may hit hard on the people who do the food importation business, but in the long run it's for the better good of the populace, because if we grow our agricultural sector, if we concentrate on it, it's going to help our economy and it's going to be for our own good.
So to Miss Adam, now talking about the ban on forex, do you think the president was right to give a directive to the CBN to say restrict all forex on food importation?
Yeah, I think if you ask me, the foreign exchange is what is talking about there. The CBN usually give some consideration to those importing foodstuff to this country. Talking about rice importation, I don't know which other food items.
But then does it include rice? Because if you look at the 43 list that the CBN had, rice wasn't part of them, and I think that's
because we are now producing rice in large quantity. Okay. And if you ask me, like a nation should be, any nation that is a sovereignty is supposed to have what we call food security.
So do we have it right now?
Yeah.
This is the right step in a bid to attain that.
Apart from the right step, being a right step, we have those things. Let me tell you the gimmicks behind all this importation. The gimmick behind importation is for us to be dependent. A nation that is dependent on foreigners, on foreign countries, is purely a consuming nation. And a consuming nation could not be said to be independent, even though you may have that independence in the paper. So our economy, what the West and even part of the charters of the United Nations want us to remain, we want us to remain in the objectivity of borrowing and also importation. do we have a nation? Are we not productive even before this time? We were productive. We had the agro-allied industries in this country. What happened to these companies?
So when we're looking
they banned now. I'm coming to that. Just allow me to flow. The companies we used to have, the agro companies we used to have, for instance, the processing companies for the groundnut pyramid, yes, the processing companies in the southwest for cocoa and whatever, the middle belt, yam production, the flour. Before Dangote ever come in to introduce Dangote flour, Dangote mills, and so on, we have the Taraku mills, we have the witch mill in Onitsha and in Lagos, plenty all over the country. Nigeria was known to be an agricultural nation. And an agricultural nation, we were never importing a dime of food from anywhere, as a matter of fact. And even the foreign exchange then, the naira was still superior to the dollar. Apart from the pounds, it was 1 pound in 1980-82. I was still a kid, but I know that 1 pound was 2 naira, not like what we have today, because we are depending on our own particular production here. So if a nation is not productive and the nation is consuming, it means the nation is dependent on foreign economy. And for us to revamp our economy, part of the importation has to be stopped. Why must we import food? You understand? It is even wrong.
The question here, we must have seen several economists, several financial economists have come out to say that the move is actually a bad move.
Yes.
The risk here means that people are going to lose their jobs. Food prices are going to skyrocket, and they give instances, and then we have to look at those instances. We have local rice in the market,
yes,
and local rice seems to be more expensive than imported rice because the cost
local
of production
rice is more expensive.
Yes, because the cost of production, the cost of producing local rice is higher than importing.
Are you saying it's going to be more expensive if
that is the gimmick? That is the gimmick. Let me tell you something. The local rice you are importing, like she said, have some preservatives, and then they could make it foreign rice. I mean, the foreign rice you are importing have some preservatives and clean and even neater, and the taste you may even prefer to go for it, even though it does not have any vitamin left for you to eat as nutrient. The gimmick behind it is that once this thing, just like the way if Nigeria is a bit broke, and we know that we can actually resource for fund in this country, you have a World Bank saying you can loan so amount. Loaning is not free. I get me now. You can loan so amount. So the aspect of productivity that should bring out this fund for our treasury, we jettison it and then we quickly run to borrow.
So let's
hold on. I'm coming to
let's look at the case because we are.
It is that simple. Okay, out of time. I may not want to expatiate to that level, but the fact is that if you want to be productive and dependent economically and as a sovereignty, you must not import everything. You should look inward, revitalize, revamp what you have, and be productive.
Let's look at this. This is one of the arguments that the economists who are against this are actually putting through. So when you look at cement, for example, at the time the government of Nigeria
and the economists, how many persons on the street have they helped? The economists.
Government banned the importation of cement, and right now the problem that cement was supposed to solve, the problems are there, and the problems are even more, because one of the reasons for the ban on importation of cement was the fact that Nigeria had a housing deficit that they need to cover and then make cement cheaper. But today Nigeria pays more for cement than most West African countries, and the housing deficit in Nigeria is still about 70 million Nigerians don't have access to good housing. So they are looking at this, that the ban on food importation will not necessarily solve the problem. It will only aggravate the problem, cause loss of jobs, food prices will be higher than usual, inflation is also going to rise, and all of this.
Like I said earlier, not all policies may be instantly favorable, like maybe as it's hitting us now, but in the long run, as time goes on. It's for the better good of our own people, of Nigerians.
So has the ban on cement been for the better good of Nigerians so far?
I just feel, why do we have to import stuffs? Just like Mr. Dan said earlier, when we can locally produce, we have Dangote here.
But if we can locally produce, that is acceptable. But we haven't produced enough to sustain us. Have we produced enough to sustain us?
Of course.
And then when we are looking at the diversification of economy to the economic sector, to the agri sector, most of these economists, most of these financial experts have said that the agriculture is a primitive, it's like moving from one primary form of production to another primary form of production, when there are other areas that we can leverage on, make more money, create more jobs from there instead of agriculture.
Okay, let me come. I actually, the first stanza of the topic that you brought as regard Mr. President's certificate, I just brought that section of the Constitution out now.
Okay.
But then before I analyze this, let me quote Mr. Festus.
If you are going to quote that, then we'll be leaving. Just after you quote that,
you see, section 318 of the 1999 Constitution defines school certificate or its equivalent to mean primary 6 school leaving certificate plus the ability to just speak, write, understand, and communicate in English language to the satisfaction of INEC or any other body concerned. So primary school, primary 6 certificate is also defined in that section as certificate.
Okay, now that you have said that,
that is section 318 of the Nigerian Constitution as amended in 1999.
Okay, we are not coming back to anywhere. We are going forward, and that is the end of Press Talk for today. Thank you for Aisha for coming the first time. I'll have to bring you here again next time. Thank you, Honorable Dan. We will have to do this. Maybe we'll have enough time to discuss this. And as for me, Victor Tehemba, I'm signing out, and we'll bring Press Talk your way again next week, Tuesday. Stay tuned. Thank you.